Good evening, CoffeehouseSchmuck here. This is the story about the day I fell into a trash compactor. Now, back in 1995, I was in between two jobs. I had just left one job. I hadn't quite found another job that, was at the pay scale I wanted. So I figured, well, while I'm waiting, I'll take one of these low-paying jobs and have fun with it for a while and I'll have a little bit of income. So I worked at this department store. I'm not going to name the department store because obvious reasons, but my job there was kind of like a janitorial job. It was like to collect trash and clean different areas of the store, and every once in a while, the store would take apart a gondola. A gondola is one of these real long shelves that holds merchandise on it. And sometimes, they would get a little rough looking after, they've aged a little bit. And they would take them apart, replace them with new ones, take the old ones apart and throw them down into the compactor. And what would happen is, if they weren't careful about the way they threw them into the compactor, they would get stuck in the compactor. It was my job to unstick what was stuck. And the procedure I used to use was I would have to turn the compactor off, make sure that the key wasn't anywhere near there where anybody could turn it back on, climb into the compactor and use my shoe and just kind of bang the thing that was stuck with my shoe so it would fall down into the compactor. And I did this probably half a dozen times during the 6-month period that I worked there. Well, this compactor was also used by the snack bar that they had in this department store. They used it to pour down the grease from their fryalators where they made their French fries. What they would do is they would carry the oil from the snack bar all the way back and dump it down the compactor, and they were supposed to let us know when they were doing this so we could hose the thing down. Because, grease isn't good on the side of a compactor, but they'd pour the grease down there, and me or one of the other guys who worked that particular position at the time, we would hose it down. Well, they had a new girl working there this one day, and they had her bring the grease back and dump it down there. She never told me that she dumped grease down the compactor. Well, the exact same day, somebody had torn apart one of those gondolas and put it in the compactor, and it got stuck. So when I went back there, I happened to see that the gondola was stuck down there. I figured, well, I got to shut this thing off, go down and climb into the compactor, use my shoe, use my foot, and push the thing out so it would fall into the compactor. I had no clue there was French fry grease on the floor of the compactor. So I turned the electricity off to the compactor, put the key up on the shelf so it's safe for me to climb in there. I climb in and I do a slide. Now the compactor's on an angle. It's about like this. I did a slide. When I stepped in that compactor, I did a slide that would make Michael Jackson envious. Remember the walk that he used to do, and I think it was called the moonwalk? I slid into the compactor, and instead of my shoe unsticking the gondola, my butt was the thing that knocked the gondola loose so it fell into the compactor. One small problem, though. I also fell in the compactor. And the compactor, once you got to the edge where the thing was stuck, was about a 5-foot drop. And me being a little on the portly side, was unable to climb out. So they had to hose down the grease. And yes, I did get a little wet. from the hose because I was in the compactor while they were hosing it down. But, you know, with the grease there, I wouldn't be able to climb back out. And then one of the guys got this idea to throw 2 ropes down. I tied both ropes around my waist. And there's probably about 30 employees working that day. They called 20 of them to the back. And 20 employees got on the rope. And it was like, looked like a tug of war. I'm on one side, stuck in the compactor. And there's 20 employees pulling with all their might to get me out. And I'm trying to, and the floor of the compactor is still a little slippery. I mean, they got pretty much the grease cleaned up, but it's still slippery. After about a half an hour, I finally got out. And I was filthy. I was covered head to toe with grease. Now, the good thing that came out of that, I had been bugging them about getting me a new uniform because the old one was kind of looking a little tattered. That day, I got my wish. They gave me a new uniform. There's no way with all that grease, the old one could be salvaged. So it all came out good. Except for the time that I spent down in the compactor waiting for them to get me out. And of course, you know, when they were hosing down the grease, I was getting a little wet. So, you know, it was an eventful day back in 1995. Thank you for listening, and have a nice day. Bye.